This is the part that can kind of complicate things. I know that I get a lot of calls for this, and I'm sure for you it's even more amplified. Calls to rip people, especially when the team is playing poorly, and you'll get accusations of protecting access, which is preposterous for you because you're a card carrying member of the BBWAA. You're good. But what is your take on ripping as a reporter? For me, again, as a very very amateur, very new to the game thing, for me it's like, if I can't make a point that I'm sure will stick in 2 weeks, especially in a day-to-day game, like if the Twins ripped off 10 of 14 and were suddenly decent again, and I ripped them 2 weeks beforehand, it might not stand up. Then I'm not going to rip. I'm not going to pull off the Band-Aid. What is your take for saying things publicly where it might be a little more controversial, but you feel like you can maybe stand on your own 2 feet and defend yourself? Where do you fall on the lines of that?
Well, as you say, I've worn many hats. And the beat writer hat is different than the columnist hat, and it's different than the feature writer hat. It just is. There are people who come out there to write features, and those are generally positive, and people are more than happy to give them phone numbers of key people in their lives, blah, 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 and answer all the questions, give them extra time, because there's kind of an agreement that if you're asking these kind of questions, and you want to talk to my old high school coach or whatever, it's going to go pretty well. The columnist comes out, anytime the columnist is around in any market, there's an expectation that there'll be at least a little edge to what's written. They're not there. If they're purely there to accentuate the positive, they're not doing their job properly. The columnist is supposed to be the voice of the fan base, to get to the bottom of things, to perhaps introduce ideas and directions that had not been introduced yet, to be a thinker, etc. And in the course of doing that, as I have done before, you will step on some toes, and some people will threaten to cut you off, and that's just fine because you have the bully pulpit. You don't really need quotes at all. Technically, you'd like to have access, but you don't have to have it.
Yeah,
because your bosses have empowered you to pontificate and to have the big picture fully in view, and sometimes even to rattle the cage just for the heck of it. But you have to be responsible at all times to do it right. Now, beat writer, that's murkier because we're in an era where there are other quote-unquote beat writers in every market and every sport that have the team's interests in mind, but they're around and they can say all they want with a disclaimer at the bottom. Nothing against anybody who does that job for MLB.com or NBA or NFL or anything. But the next time one of those people asks a difficult question of a key person after a game, before a game, will be the first.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they're in our midst. And then there's the people from traditional media sources, whether it's radio or more so radio sites or sites such as yours or the local newspapers, who have beat writers who do rely on regular access and quotes and must maintain relationships because of the day-to-day presence, and that's not always easy. And those ebb and flow, and there are periods of time where certain players or coaches or a manager even will not really want to answer your questions at any length. And there are times when it flows right back into equilibrium and you get what you need. Those are things a columnist doesn't have to think about. But those who might criticize the beat writers for not, as you say, going negative or being critical of the people that they're in the midst of every single day, I believe they're misdirecting their frustrations.
Agreed.
Talk to the columnist. It's their jobs to be the fly in the ointment. It's not our jobs. We have to be honest and fair, and at times might have to bite our tongue in the name of long-term relationship maintenance in a way that those who fly in for a day here, a day 2 weeks from now, they don't have to worry about.